Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a Lot. And we got legacy in the building. We have a true sojourner, an African warrior scholar in our midst today who has dedicated the greater part of her adult life to the transformation and facilitation of the African mind. We have a motivator, we have a mother, we have an entrepreneur, we have a scholar, we have an educator, and we have a shining example of transformation and redemption. So let's welcome to the platform Anime Productions own hashtag Mama Meltrek, hashtag the epitome of African greatness, the definition of speaking and living truth to power. Our warrior sister, our champion, Dr. Oya Ma'at is in the building.
Peace and love to you, brother Knowledge Born Allah. Thank you so much for inviting me on your platform to speak to your viewers. I want to say peace and love to everyone under the sound of my voice. And peace and love to folks who will be listening to the archive. So it might be folks listening live, and then folks come back and they're listening, later on. So I just want to say peace and love.
All right. How's everything been? It's been a minute. We've seen everybody. You've been living vicariously through your travels, through your works, through your research, through, spreading Meltrek across the globe, empowering young people, working with your family, in the midst of everything that's been going on. How you been, Doc? What's going on?
I've been good, and I know that you've been keeping up with me, and as I have been keeping up with you also. But as you stated, it's just been a very busy year. I don't think I've been on your platform since I went to Ghana, since we traveled over to Ghana, last May, and so we were able to go to Ghana. Last May, we spent about 2 weeks in Ghana. We went to 4 different cities, and at each city we presented Meltrek to the. At each city we presented, the Meltrek program. The children loved it. The educators loved it. We were supposed to go to South Africa in the fall of 2019. We were supposed to go over there, and then also in April we were supposed to shoot to Senegal and Gambia, but I was unable to make those trips. Due to personal reasons, and then due to the pandemic. We were also invited to the UK and to France to present the Meltrek program. So it's definitely word is getting around. We're very appreciative for the support that we've garnered over the years. Meltrek has sold in 30 states and 10 countries. And so we are grateful for the enormous support. And now is the time, really, Knowledge Born, that parents need to be utilizing tools like Meltrek, tools like, Tell Me Who I Am, tools like Aaron Knows About Africa, books by the sister Akua Agassi, to homeschool. Because since the pandemic, we've been in a situation where we've had to homeschool our children. And so, these tools are available. To homeschool our babies. And so again, now is the time. It's been time, but now is really the time that we take ownership of our children's learning. So it's been a very busy year. And then on top of that, I'm actually announcing this, I think for the first time. We're in the process of acquiring a space in Baltimore. It's a 7,000 square foot space to open up an African-centered STEM school. I have a team of investors who are purchasing an old Target at a mall. It's called the Mondawmin Mall in West Baltimore. So there was a Target that sat there. And so a team of investors have acquired the Target. And I believe the Target is like 100,000 square feet. And so they're going to give me 7,000 square feet of that to open up an African Center STEM school. So I've partnered with grassroots organizations who focus on STEM, and also, my alma mater, Morgan State University. I had a huge research center. It's called the CAPS Center. Which is the cybersecurity center that brings in over $4 million a year to our students. But they're coming on board with helping me open up this African Center STEM school. So hopefully, once the pandemic is over next year, and in 2022, I will be able to announce that I have an African Center STEM school right in Baltimore City. So that's another project that I'm also involved in as well. So yeah, Brother Knowledge Born, it's been busy. And then on top of that, my little son, Jalen, he's 10. And so I had to homeschool him starting in March when they shut down, the school system, so it's kind of, I had to work my full-time job at Morgan State University. And then I also had to homeschool my baby full-time. And even this summer, he went through a virtual STEM camp. And so, I had to work with him 3 to 4 hours a day. So like you said, just kind of just busy, between, Meltrek, between homeschooling, between teaching, just busy. And then, we have the book club, the Resurgence of the African Mind book club that I co-founded with Sister Alima Njai. So she and I, we've been going strong, every Sunday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So doing that. And then on top of that, the Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Ma'at. I go live at least 2 to 3 times a week on my own YouTube channel. And so it's just a lot, Knowledge Born. So very tiring, work. But the work needs to be done. And so I'm happy that I'm in the, I guess, the health and in the mental space to be able to do the work.
Definitely amazing. And you got a young entrepreneur in college, correct?
Absolutely.
I got an interview with that young scholar and financial guru over there, very, very proud of that young man. You raised up some serious warriors out here, Dr. Mott, in your own personal space, and Jalen is a warrior and a multi-genius. That's a little Imhotep running around. You understand what I'm saying? I love that young brother's spirit, his courage and his ability to can do. You push him very hard. You push your family very hard, and your expectations are high. That's a very beautiful and remarkable thing when they meet and exceed them expectations, because they set the goals and the standards for their life. So you had already set that bar with them. So imagine what the world's going to be, for your sons, out there when they get older. They're not going to be taking this I can't type of attitude. You raise them up in the way that they're supposed to go. So very commendable.
Thank you so much, brother Knowledge Born, and I appreciate your words. But I think that's where it starts. It starts with family. A lot of us who are African centered, and we call ourselves conscious or woke. We run out here. We want to join this organization, that organization. We want to get involved in this movement and that movement. But then you look at these people, and this is I'm not being disrespectful, by any way, but you look at these folks and you're saying, well, where, what's going on inside of your own family? Because I was actually one of those people, Brother Knowledge Born, when I, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I decided to start, participating in Juneteenth festivals and Black August events and Kwanzaa, I was running out here doing it with, I don't want to say strangers, but just brothers and sisters outside of my family. Then I said, wait a minute, let me bring that culture to my family and start, bringing those rituals, those holidays to my family. And so it's a beautiful thing. My mother, who's 67, should be 68 in 7 days, but she's on board with it. So we have the blessings of the elders. They're on board. We pour libations at different family functions. I had my family, they're like ashe after the prayers instead of amen. Everything is ashe. So that my auntie just sent me a text message. She probably killed me showing you this on air, but she sent me a text message last week, and she said, these are the books that I'm reading now. I don't know if you see that. It's The Miseducation of the Negro, The Color of Law, and the Willie Lynch. So, I have the elders in my family, down there reading and, like I said, just practicing, African rituals and celebrating African holidays, really curious about learning African culture. So I think that's where it starts. I think, when people ask me about the highest priority on the Black agenda, I always say that's, building up strong families. So investing in your families, investing in your children, that's where it begins. And then we can branch out. You know what I mean? We can branch out and build communities and nations. But the fundamental building blocks of a nation is the family. And so we have to build strong families. So I believe that that's where it starts. And that's why I go so hard, with my family and making sure that, that I'm doing the best I can to raise them. So I pour into them first, and then I pour into the community.
And if all of us did that, Dr. Mott, we'd be in a better space. One family at a time, one book at a time, one experience at a time. That's progressive, towards our goals as African people, beginning with our foundation.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Beginning with our family and also cultivating our children, whether they're your biological children or not. I have a number of children in our family who are not our biological children, but we know they're family. They belong to us, and so, yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk to you about this Truth to Power series before we go any further. I think that is very phenomenal what you're doing to be able to, create a space and facilitate a conversation with our elders and with our African thought leaders in a diverse type of space. So what kind of prompted you? It's a twofold question. What kind of prompted you to focus on your platform? Because over the years, we've seen you help other platforms grow. You're very requested, a lot of places. You've done a lot of things to help a lot of people along the way. I don't want to leave that out, So what was the point, for you to focus on your particular platform and also, to usher in this new series, this Truth to Power series?
And that's a really good, you're so observant. Oh, you're so observant. But yes, so over the years, I have appeared on, a number of platforms. And what I saw, brother Knowledge Born, is that, I have videos on Facebook. Literally, I was looking at a video the other day, got up to like it was a little 2-minute clip of me talking. And that video is up to about 380,000 views. But again, all of this all of that traffic is being driven to that person. And I don't want to call the person's name, but all of the traffic is going to that person's platform, And so it's not that I don't mind speaking on other people's platforms, but I felt like I need to put that energy into building my own platform, driving traffic, to my own platform where I can talk about the things that I want to talk about. I don't have to worry about being disrespected, because I feel like have appeared on a number of platforms, and I feel like, sometimes I feel like I've gotten tomatoes thrown at me because of the things that I say, some of the thoughts that I've had to deal with a lot of misogyny. To be just quite frank with you. And so I got tired of the contradictory behavior, the hypocritical behavior, the misogyny, the disrespect. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm going to start, just building my own First of all, I'm going to detach from that. Okay. I'm going to detach or disassociate myself from that and just focus on building my own platform. And so that's where I really I wanted to drive traffic to my own platform, something that I owned and controlled. I don't want to say own because we don't own YouTube, right? But something that I was in control of. And two, I just wanted to detach from the foolishness. It's a lot of foolishness out there. And so what I've come to find out is that people judge you by the company that you keep. And so if I'm associated with this platform or these platforms, and these platforms are promoting pseudoscience, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, gossip, slander, then they're going to look at me and say, well, wait a minute, Dr. Maya, you're over there with them, so you must be a part of that, And so I had to disassociate myself with that foolishness, with that insanity, with that craziness. And so that's why I started my own platform. So that was the answer to your first question, because I know you said it was a 2-part question. So hopefully I answered that. The second part of your question, or my response to the second part of your question, is that I started the Truth to Power series because what I noticed is that there's a disconnect between the elders and I will call us like the middle children and then you have the youth. So we're like in the middle right now, and then there's the elders and there's the youth. And so you have the youth who are saying, I don't want to hear anything the elders are talking about. They're looking at some of the elders' work, and they're questioning things, and rightfully so, rightfully so. So the youth are coming out with things. They're going through the elders' work, they're scrutinizing it, and they're saying, wait a minute, the elder made a discrepancy here, or the elder was wrong about that. And so a lot of people are like, I want to cancel this work, or I don't want to deal with the elders. But my thing is this: none of us are infallible. I think that our elders, at the time that they were out teaching and creating their work, they were working with the knowledge that they had available to them at those times. And I don't think because we may have found some flaws in their research or in their work that we should just cancel the elders. The elders are the wisdom. We are the power, we are the muscle, but the elders are the wisdom. And so what I did was create the platform in order to bridge the gap between, the elders, the middle children, who are us, people who are in their 30s and 40s, the middle children, and also the youth. I have students from Morgan State University watching Truth to Power Talk. I have students at Howard University watching Truth to Power Talk. And so, it's really a very mixed audience. I have my family watching, but it's a very mixed audience. And so the whole purpose or objective of Truth to Power was to really bridge that gap between, the elders, the middle children, and the youth. And so, and just to give our elders a chance to shine. A lot of them are getting older. A lot of them are, 60s, 70s, 80s. I had Dr. Leonard Jeffries on. Dr. Leonard Jeffries is in his 80s. And so let's soak up as much as we can from our elders while we still have them in this realm, in this particular space. And so, but I don't want people to think that the platform is solely showcasing the elders, even though I've had a lot of elders on. I also brought on a few times Miss Sharia Lovelace to talk about current events. I do plan on bringing on people like Brother Anka Cat, Mossy Warrior Clan members, just to talk about some things. So it's not going to be solely focused on the elders, but I figured that would be a good start. Let's start with the elders, and then let's start working in, some other folks.
Definitely. So since you mentioned the young people, I was going to go next. That's like some mind detect mind type of stuff right there. What has been their response so far from, your series? And you as an educator, I know you set high standards in your family. I can only imagine what it's like to be in the classroom under your tutelage. You see what I'm saying? And what some of the lessons that you learned getting back into the swings as an educator and reconnecting with the youth outside of your nuclear family.
Okay, so it's crazy that you said I can only imagine. You said I set high standards for my family. You said I can only imagine sitting in. Oh my goodness, my students, they think I'm so hard on them. They do. They complain, and they're like, oh doc, but we have to have high expectations and standards for our children. I look at them as my babies, even though these are grown men and women, 18, 19, and 20. I treat them no different than I treat my children when I'm in the classroom. I always tell them that, that I'm a critical stakeholder in their success. I remind them of that, and I want them to do well. And that's why I am hard on them. And that's why I do that's why I do have high expectations and standards for them. But, what I notice is that they complain about me while they're taking the class. But they do come back to me, maybe a semester or two after they taken the class, and they'll say, thank you, Dr. Bailey. When I was going through the process, I was angry with you when you would shut the door. You gave us a 5 or 10 minute grace period to get to your class, and you would shut the door on us and tell us, hey, if you can't, after 5 or 10 minutes, you can't come in. If you don't submit your assignments on time, I cannot accept them. So I set that bar for them, because I said, when you get in the real world and you're writing grants and proposals, a deadline is a deadline. Or if your boss says, hey, I need this project, or I need this code by such and such date at such and such time, you have to be on point. And so I'm getting them prepared for the real world, and I treat my classroom, I treat them like my classroom is the real world. These are deadlines. You got to meet your deadlines. If you don't meet your deadlines, you suffer the consequences, and so anyway, my students will come back to me, in semester or two, and they say, Doc, when I was going through the process, when I was going through your class, I couldn't stand you. I was upset. I laid you out, but they come back and they say thank you. They say thank you. And a matter of fact, there are two students I'm thinking about in particular. His name is Michael Jaleel George, Mr. Jaleel George, and a brother named Harmony Abbasi. These were two of my former students, and they've been keeping in touch with me a whole lot throughout the pandemic. They joined the Resurgence of the Afrikan Mind book club. They purchased the book. They send me messages, Doc, we're reading along with the book. And then so I love it. I absolutely love it. One of my other students, her name is Miss Candace Trank. She's on my Facebook page. And so she comments. And so my students definitely keep in contact with me. And they're definitely very active in what I'm doing, with on YouTube and Facebook and even at Morgan. So I'm sorry. I feel like I was rambling, but what was your question, Brother Knowledge Born?
No, that was perfect. Because I seen both sides. I saw your demands, but also saw your reward system. You celebrate your students' success. You showed it, to the world. So it's the same way. If you're looking at a home, if you're looking at a society, if you're looking at a community, it's only as good as our elders taught us as the rewards and punishment system that you have in place. So if you look at it, you see this. Okay, you know what these things are. Now, what about when you do well, when you excel? You see what I'm saying? So you put those things in place and you implemented that rewards and punishment system in transparency, So I think that's a beautiful thing
absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we have pizza parties. It's times I bring in pizza and fish and chicken, whatever they like to eat, and reward them with food, or, reward them with, okay, well, I'll drop the lowest quiz grade if you all can show me this, or if you all do well on this particular exam, I won't add this. It won't be a cumulative final. I'll take this part off, or I'll curve, or I do all sorts of stuff to reward them when they do well. So I agree with you that rewards and punishments is definitely important. And I know that Dr. Amos Wilson talks about that extensively in his book, The Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. So absolutely.
So I'm waiting. I got to sneak this one in real quick. I'm waiting for Dr. Ma'at's book or Dr. Ma'at's series, something we could read, something we could see where it begins to tell your story, something, behind the scenes that gives us some perspective on your journey, and the journey of Meltrek, the journey of anime production, something where we can hear from you and from your family, so people can know, what it takes. They might read something. They might read this beautiful about on animeproductions.com. They might, see the words, but they don't know. I got a chance to hear from everybody, and I got a chance to get a greater understanding of who you are and how you function as a family unit because of those interactions. But I don't think too many of the people, out in the world who have things to say, because, these eunuchs always got something to say out here. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep, come on. Yes,
actually,
they do.
Can articulate your path and your journey. So will it be something that you can share with us?
Well, I am working on a book right now entitled African-Centered Education, the Vehicle to Empower the African World. So that should be out. I'm shooting for the end of 2021 to release that. But to answer your question, you're saying like an autobiography or something that tells the story. And boy, oh boy, I have a story. In fact, when I actually received my PhD, I was walking across when they hooded me. I have a picture where I'm being hooded by the Dean of the School of Engineering, Dean Deloach, and then my advisor, Dr. Arlene Cole Rhodes. But at that particular time, Brother Knowledge Born, I had an ankle monitor bracelet on I had a bracelet, so I was literally on house arrest, and the judge gave me permission to attend my graduation. So when I say I have a story to tell, I remember one time Isaiah, he was on the platform, and again, I don't want to drop names, but he was on a particular gentleman's platform, and he was getting ready to just start crying when he talked about like the things that, you know, our family went through. And he was just like, just to see, you know, where my mother is now, he was saying that it's just a beautiful thing because, of course, my babies went through that whole process with me. And so I definitely got a story to tell. You know, I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. You know, so who would have thought that this little girl from Baltimore would have received a PhD in engineering? If you go and just do go look up, you know, the data, a lot of African Americans do not go into the STEM field, nonetheless go into engineering and then get a PhD. And this is nothing, this is not to boast or brag or say, I'm just stating the facts. And the facts are, who would have known that a little girl from Baltimore, Maryland, raised by a single mother who was a teacher and eventually became a school principal, but who would have known that that little girl would have, you know, achieved that and would have gone on to start her own business, teach at a university, and then open up a STEM, African-centered STEM school. So I definitely have a story to tell because it hasn't all been great. You know, I've been through a whole lot in my life, and I would love to be totally transparent and to share that, you know, with the people, because a lot of details of my life, you know, it's funny when you're looking at the internet and people are trying to piece together what happened in your life, and then they misconstrue it, and they're reading something on the internet and they're saying, oh, well, I heard this and I heard that. You know, no one can tell you about your life except for that person. So no one can tell my life or talk about my life like I can, because I lived it. And so I would definitely like to either do a video, create a book, and just explaining to the people, you know, who am I? You know, who am I? Who is Dr. Ma'at? Who is Dr. Deanna Bailey? So I think that would be, you know, a beautiful project.
I agree wholeheartedly. Not enough stories are being told. You know, I know you heard me say this before. I'm so thankful to the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense for writing their own books. Could you imagine if somebody else got a hold of that narrative and what's out there already? If we didn't hear the words of those people, you know, whether we agreed with them or not, some of them are very egregious. You see what I'm saying? But also other ones having an understanding, especially in a month like Black August, where the only time warriors are celebrated. You know, we know that adage that said no one loves a warrior until there's an enemy at the gate. You know, so even scholastically, even in the realm of academia, in the world of research, as an African woman, you've been around, so you already know the types of things and the words that get associated with an African woman speaking truth to power in a place where Eurocentric misogyny is the order of the day. So just imagine trying to cultivate young minds of young sisters, building up self-confidence and things like that, and let them know that they are greater than them circumstances right there. I think that's very, very amazing and commendable and very, very necessary for the psyche of our young sisters that's coming up. Because if you teach a woman, you teach a nation.
That's right.
You teach your brother, you teach your brother. You understand what I'm saying? So, and with the shift in regards to us recognizing nature and us returning back to nature, there's nothing more natural and to set things right in order than to welcome that divine feminine energy back. So.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Definitely.
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned that because we have the 100 years of the Whirlwind conference coming up on August the 14th through the 16th. And my presentation is entitled Mamas of the Struggle. And so when Brother Kuji Chagalia reached out to me and he said, Doc, you know, I want you to speak on that, you know, mamas of the struggle, you know, honoring, you know, our greats, you know, honoring the greatness among us. It's something like that. He pitched it to me and I said, wow. I said, yeah, brother, I would love to speak on that because not a lot of sisters, you know, you don't hear the stories of a lot of sisters. We hear the stories of the brothers. So whenever we talk about the brothers, I mean, you hear about Nat Turner, but you don't hear about Lucy. So it was, if you ever look up, it was a famous picture by an artist. I believe that the artist is in Southampton, Virginia. I want to say that his name is James. I forgot his last name, but he created a picture of the Nat Turner boys, and he has them sitting on horses, and Nat Turner's in the front. But you see a young lady to the right or to the left of Nat Turner. That was Sister Lucy. But whenever we talk about the Nat Turner rebellion, You don't hear about the women who played the role, or the sister Lucy who played the role in the Nat Turner rebellion. Even with the Haitian Revolution. I know that brother Tariq Nasheed brought out he produced 1804, that particular documentary. And what I loved about it is that when he talked about, he talked about Bookman and Toussaint. And then when he got to Dessalines, our great warrior, I love that he brought out that Dessalines was brought up by an African warrior queen. So we looking at him and saying, oh, Dessalines did this, but he was raised by an African warrior sister. And so they talked about that sister that raised Dessalines. And then there was another sister who participated in the Haitian Revolution. And I can't think of her name off top, but all of these sisters, I'm going to be talking about them during my presentation, Mamas to the Struggle. I'm sorry, Mamas of the Struggle. But it was another sister who fought in the war, the Haitian Revolution. And she ended up getting caught. And so they sentenced her to death, and she stood there and she said, I'm going to call my own orders. And she called it, and they end up shooting and murdering their sister. But these are the sisters that you don't hear about. Okay. You don't hear about, we talk about Marcus Garvey, but do we talk about Henrietta Vinton Davis? That was Garvey's number 2. So when Garvey was in prison, it was this sister that was holding Garvey down. She was basically looked at as Sister Vinton was they called her Garvey's number 2. And not to mention his wife, Amy, who kept his memory and his thoughts and his philosophies alive after he died. So we got to start giving the sisters more credit than we do. And that's why when Kanye West said that foolishness out of his mouth regarding our Queen Mother, Harriet Tubman, all Black women should have stood up and checked that. All of them, all Black sisters and even Black men should have stood up and checked that. And so we gotta start doing our sisters right. Think about Malcolm X, you had Betty Shabazz. When I think about Martin Luther King, you had Coretta Scott King. I mean, come on. When we talk about Medgar Evers, you had his beautiful queen, so we got to start, learning more about our sisters. And even if we get into scholarship, before we get to scholarship, you got Ida B. Wells, we got Fannie Lou Hamer, we got to really start learning more and more about our sisters and giving our sisters more props than we do. And even in the realm of scholarship, you hear about Dr. John Henry Clark. I hear people uplift Dr. John Henry Clark a lot. Dr. Ben, Dr. John Jackson. You hear about Chancellor Williams. You hear about Dr. Amos Wilson, even though they don't really give him his just due like they should. But we hear about the male scholars. But when do we talk about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing? How many of us, I know some of the sisters, we uplift her, but when the brothers are talking and building, you don't hear that many brothers talking about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. So anyway, I'm telling you, family, join me at the 100 years of Whirlwind, or 100 years in the Whirlwind Conference, because I'm going to go all the way in, Brother Knowledge Born. I'm going to go all the way in and just talk about our mamas of the struggle. And thank you for putting that up. So it says I'm going to be speaking on August the 16th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. in the Red Room. And so thank you so much for that, Brother Kuji Chagalia. But yeah, so we got to talk about, our mamas in the struggle and give our sisters, more credit. We got to give our sisters more credit.
Because if we don't, we have a race of babies that I hate the ladies that make
the babies. Come on.
100%. 100%. And you see the trajectory and how it is pushed. These things are pushed and we're socialized in a certain kind of way. So when you're looking for a space of empowerment and for a space of upliftment, where do you find it? If the mother is the first teacher, the African woman is the first teacher, the African mother is the only teacher, not just the first teacher, the only teacher. So when you start looking at that from that perspective, you are honoring this realm that had sustained life, your very life and existence. So when we get these eunuchs that are out here, speaking these things that they're speaking, they came from African wombs.
Come on,
an
let's
African
talk about
woman bore you in her womb. So I don't want to go off on the tangent, but you already know how I feel, Dr. Ma'at, when it comes to some of this stuff out here with some of these people, and how do you have a future with no family in totality? The African woman, the African man, the African child. That's a future. And we are charged with the duty of protecting the sanctity of the African family. So,
and then Knowledge Point, I think it's definitely important that we see.
To think about.
Absolutely. Can you hear me, King?
Can we spend the last few minutes speaking about Anime Productions, Meltrek?
Can you hear me, Brother Knowledge Born?
Yes, Dr. Bond, I hear you.
Okay, all right. Because you when you were talking, I was just I just kind of wanted to plus one what you said, about you said protecting the sanctity of the family, and then you talked about you quoted Tupac. And that's exactly what's happening now. You said we're producing literally a race of babies that hate the ladies. It's a lot of misogynoir that's out there, a lot of the disrespect of Black women. I'm looking at this. I was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking about this new video, WAP or WAP, that dropped, Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. And I was looking at how people were actually defending the sexploitation of these women. People are defending this stuff and they're calling it empowerment. And you know what I had to tell my son, Brother Knowledge Born, and this is Isaiah. Yesterday when I spoke to him, he was telling me how a lot of the girls on Howard's campus, they're saying, well, they're not on campus yet, but he still communicates with a lot of course, his peers on Howard via Twitter. And he shared with me that a lot of those females are viewing this sort of thing as empowerment. And I was saying, son, this isn't empowerment. This is exploitation. He was telling me that they're saying we're taking back our bodies and we're no longer allowing men to tell us what to do with our bodies. This is empowerment. We're no longer going to let them capitalize off our bodies. I said, son, who do you think owns the record labels, that Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion are signed to? So for them to say that this is female empowerment, and then you start looking at or investigating who actually owns the labels, this isn't female empowerment or Black empowerment at all. I told my son yesterday what's empowerment was Madam C.J. Walker when she came up with her formula and then took Black women who were traditionally domestic workers and servants and made them entrepreneurs. That's female empowerment. That's Black empowerment. When she opened up training schools and different facilities, different warehouses across. That's empowerment. So she really elevated the social economic status of Black women in her day. That's empowerment. It's nothing empowering about singing about your vagina. So I had to, really sit down and have this conversation with him, yesterday. So anyway, so I just think that it's very important, Brother Knowledge Born, that we, this presentation is very important. Mamas in the struggle, showing our greats, showing our Black women in a different light, showing them as leaders, as activists, as nurturers, as warriors, as thinkers, as intellects. It's very important because when you look out here in the world, look at the image of the Black woman now. They got Housewives of Atlanta, the different reality TV shows, Love and Hip Hop, if that's what you want to call it. Then you have the rap music videos, and then you have social media. Good God Almighty. And then my son was telling me that there's a new website out called Fan Page where women are just putting up pictures of themselves and you can pay to look at them and all of that. So we got to do better with projecting a better image, a more positive image of Black women. And so that's why this conference is very important. And I think that's why, Mamas in the Struggle, that's why I agreed to do it, because this is something that needs to be highlighted. Brother Knowledge Born, you look frozen. Brother Knowledge Born. Oh man, can I see? Okay, so family, I'm in the chat room. I see Brother Kuji Chagalia, Lust in hip hop. Doc gonna get surgical. Yes, I think Brother Knowledge Born. Okay, he's back. I think he's coming back now. Okay, so he left, and I think he exited because he was freezing. And so, anyway, family, I'm going to keep on talking until he gets back. But I think that something happened with his computer. Okay, so he's coming back. All right, so you're back, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to begin where we are, and this is an imperative to reshape and control the narrative as it relates to our families, as it relates to our sisters. We know the studies. We know that Black women are 10 times more sexualized. Black women, like the young women, all of it. Like we heard, some of these egregious tales. I think if we listen to African women, what they have to go through on a daily basis, whether it's social media or just out in the world, like if you hear the amount of sexual advances, the over sexualized, these are all what the templates are placed into the psyche, and accountability in regards to our behavior. So if you just think about it, I saw a post one day. I don't know if it was you or another sister that said, "How old were you when an adult approached you for some type of sexual favor?" And I was seeing the numbers: 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was enraged. You see what I'm saying? Like 7, 8, 9, a grown person. You see what I'm saying? So we talk about Eurasian sexual appetites among them, but we don't look at ourselves. You see what I'm saying? So these grown men in your neighborhood, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. You see what I'm saying? Like nobody in their formative years in 18, 19, 20 years old. No, this began at 7, 6 years old. Like who was it? My uncle, my blah, 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 my cousin. You understand what I'm saying? Like all of these things right here, to focus on. And then, look at what liberation looks like as it's being promoted, amongst African women. What kind of insanity that goes along with that mentality. And it's a resurgence of, what those Eurasian women from 50 years ago were seeking to implement. You see what I'm saying? So there's nothing new under the sun. It just comes back around. It was burning bras. While it was burning bras, they were burning libraries also. They were burning.
Come on. Oh, brother, Knowledge Born, you were going in, brother. Can you hear me, brother?
A lot of Yes, I hear you, Dr. Ma'at. A lot of misdirection, They show you one hand and they smack you or they stab you or they shoot you with the other hand. So they show you this one hand. So what's in this other hand right here? So I'm definitely glad you're a part of this conference and you're going to be bringing forth your information. I want to spend the last few minutes that we have, about 5 minutes or so, talking about anime productions, where people can get the merchandise, the curriculum. We got a lot of stuff going on, so I want to give you, the opportunity to speak about that before we close.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother Knowledge Born. So Ed Anime Productions is let me start from the beginning. So in 2013, I was at the time Jalen was 3 years old. Oh, he just got out of there. I think he fell off. But to answer his question, in 2013, my 10-year-old, he was 3 at the time. And what I noticed is that I was observing the things that he was watching or the things he would ask for. And he was always asking for, I would just say, mindless media, to sum it up. So there were some things that he would ask for. Oh, I want to watch this, or I want to do this. And of course, he's 3. So I said, well, wait a minute. I had to change what I'm putting in front of him, what I'm allowing him to watch. And so I began researching animations that were educational, animations that taught him about our history, our culture, and our achievements. And so the first animated series that I found was Tell Me Who I Am, which was produced by Brother Daryl Grayson. His company is called Kid Positive. They produced that particular animation in 1998, and they just redigitized it. And so I found Tell Me Who I Am, and he really loved that. He enjoyed that. We watched that a lot, and I purchased the Tell Me Who I Am activity book for him, and we worked through the activities. And then I started looking for more and more materials. I was, researching more and more materials to put in front of him. And what I noticed is that there weren't many. I mean, it was some books out there, a lot of books, but not really a lot of animations. And now I do understand why. Animations are extremely costly to produce. So it's easier to produce a book, about our history, culture, and achievements than it is to flat out create an entire, animation. And so I do understand why. But when I noticed the deficit in the number of animated series about African history, culture, and achievements that were available to our babies, I decided to get my family together in the fall of 2013. And I said, we should produce our own animated series. And so they looked at me like I lost my mind, Brother Knowledge Born. I mean, they were like, what are you talking about? You're an engineer. One of my cousins, he's a truck driver. And then my boys at the time were 13 and 14. So they're looking at me like, wait a minute, what do you mean start an animated series? And I was like, yeah. I said, let's, I'm thinking of something called Meltrek. These kids go back, something like Star Trek, but Meltrek, where you're going back, you're going on this melanin journey. And so I was telling them all the ideas that I had in my mind the fall of 2013. And finally in 2014, we started working on the project. And by October of 2014, we were able to produce Meltrek Episode 1, Exploring Ancient Africa. And so I'm happy about that. And then after that, maybe 2 or 3 years after that, we produced Meltrek Episode 2, Exploring the Pre-Columbian Americas. And right now we're working on our third film entitled Meltrek Exploring the Ma'afa. And so, we were able to really pull this off. And so we established the company, Ed Anime Productions. Ed is short for educational, and you have anime, so animation. So Ed Anime. We is a family owned and operated company. We're based in Baltimore, Maryland, and we produce educational materials for children. So we started out with producing films, but we got a lot of feedback from parents, and they were saying that we disseminate information a lot of information at a fast pace. And so they were wondering if we had additional materials. And so we decided to produce a coloring book, or should I say an activity book and a storybook for each film. So you get a film, you get a storybook, and you get an activity book. We're also in the process of uploading unit plans for Meltrek Episode 1 that really gets into the information. And so we just finished completing a 100-page lesson activity book centered around Meltrek Episode 1. So we talk about the different figures in the film in depth. We have over, oh my goodness, I believe we have probably 10 or 15. We have 4 unit plans for Meltrek Episode 1. Each unit plan comes with maybe 10 or 15 lessons. We have a student learning packet that goes along with the lessons. And we also have a pre and post assessments for every unit plan. And so those unit plans should be available. I was shooting for them to be available by Friday, but we actually in the process of proofreading it. So hopefully it will be proofread by Friday. Oh, you have it up on the screen. Yep. The unit plans. And Brother Knowledge Born, we're actually getting ready to change the cover because we want to call that a lesson activity book. And we're going to put in, we have unit plans. We have, pre and post assessments. We also have a Meltrek student learning packet. And so I'm telling you, and we're also getting ready we're in the process of creating a virtual instructional program centered around Meltrek. So kids will be able to log on to our website for an hour and interact with Miss Lofton, who was played by Shawnee Bowens, who is an actual K-12 teacher. She teaches for Howard County school systems. And so, your child will be able to log on, and for 1 hour, we'll be doing activities with them and teaching them about our history, our culture, and achievement. So we're actually in the process of creating that virtual class. And so I'm Meltrek is a beautiful program, and I'm not saying that because my family produces it, because if I wasn't the producer and I was the consumer, I would definitely invest in the Meltrek program for my child if I were a parent. Are there any other questions, Brother Knowledge Born? I feel like I've answered everything.
No matter how many times I hear that story, I love it to hear it, all over again. I wanted to ask about this affiliate program while I have it on the screen, so that people can know, the other dimensions. Like, you're not just asking, people to support you. You're putting people in business. You're creating entrepreneurship, so people have the opportunity to leverage that. So can you speak about that real quick?
Oh, absolutely. We have a wholesale program. And so if you're interested in wholesaling the Meltrek program, because it's really about, cooperative economics, right? It's not about, my family producing this and we're trying to get, as the young people would say, fat, or we're trying to chase the bag. That's what they say, Brother Knowledge Born. It's really about, economic, cooperative economics. And I'm looking at the Kwanzaa principle, Ujama, cooperative economics. And so it's about, sharing, we're trying to empower you, but we also, we want to empower you not only mentally, but economically. And so we do have a wholesale program. So if you're interested in wholesaling some of our merchandise, we just ask that, you get a minimum, you place it, we call it the MOQ, a minimum order quantity of 25, books. So if you want 25 DVDs, we don't even do DVDs. We're starting to get away from that because we have the program is available in digital format at this point. Some people still, Brother Knowledge Born, shockingly, they still buy the DVDs because children have PlayStations. And so some parents would say, no, I would rather buy the DVD than to get the digital download. So we still offer a DVD, but we do offer the digital download as well. But yeah, we just ask that you get a minimum of, 25 books or 25 films, and we'll give you a wholesale deal on there. We give you a pretty sweet deal. We also have an affiliate program. So if you're someone who owns a website and you have an e-store, if you put our products in your shop, I think we give you about a 20% commission, which is very generous. I mean, typically people do 10%, 15%, but we give you 20% of whatever you sell, just simply by just putting our products in your e-shop. And then we also offer a fundraising program. So I know that in schools, people typically sell candy bars or cookies. But, if you say, hey, look, at my school, we're doing a fundraising. We want to raise some funds, and, we'll sell them the Meltrek program, and we'll raise funds that way. And then we can offer prizes. So the top selling class will get a Meltrek presentation where the characters come to your class and we eat pizza with your students, or, the second runner up might get a t-shirt or some free Meltrek products. So anyway, we do have a fundraising program. So be sure to check that out as well.
I definitely wanted to highlight that, with everything that we have going on. The brother who sells the shoes, he sells those RBG shoes. His name, out of Georgia. His name escapes me at the particular moment.
Well, you got Brother Unk, he sells shoes with Abjuwear, and then you got Brother Tariq, who sells.
There we go.
Brother Tariq. Okay.
Right. He offers an affiliate program as well. So these were things that I was looking at, when they were talking about categories for the Black Power Awards, and you are a Black Power Award winner also, So, when it came down to, it was a couple of different people with fashion in that category. I said, I'm going to have to go with the brother Tariq Edmondson. Now I got his name in my head. Tariq Edmondson, because he has this other incentive, so you can do the same thing with his program, So I think that's an amazing incentive that you're offering, and you taking it a step further, for schools and organizations and things like that in the community to be able to raise funds and give people something tangible and not give them a trip to the dentist. You know what I mean? You keeping folks out of the dentist. I know these things might be more appealing, but these things are long-standing. So to offer that as a fundraiser and to offer it as wholesale and affiliate is, 3 different options for people that's out there. So I definitely want to highlight that as we close. So final remarks, shout outs, acknowledgments, where people can find you. Are y'all doing virtual situations with Meltrek? Were y'all doing virtual presentations? Is that something that's on the table that people can take advantage of as
absolutely.
well?
Absolutely. But right now, we were thinking about doing virtual presentations, but right now we're moving into creating a virtual instructional program for Meltrek. So you can log in, you get on our website, log in for an hour a day, sit your children down. Ms. Lofton pops up. And so now she's educating your child. And Ms. Lofton is actually played by Ms. Shawnee Bowens, who's an actual teacher. And so Ms. Lofton, she comes up and she pops up and she does activities with your child for an hour a day. So we're coming up with, we're in the process of creating a 2-week virtual instructional program. We're going to start with 2 weeks, but it may go beyond that, as we keep adding on different things. But we're going to start off with like a 2-week, a virtual instructional program for children. So you'll be able to sit your child at the computer, and for 1 hour, we'll be doing activities with your children centered around African history, culture, and achievements. So that's what we're in the process of doing, and also creating unit plans so that parents, now that we're home, during this pandemic, parents can go to edanimateproductions.com. They can download actual unit plans that come with assessments, a student learning packet, and lessons that you can go through with your child. So we're really in the process of just creating these resources for parents. So instead of like just presenting and doing presentations, right now we're in like producing mode, we're in producing mode. So we want to produce resources that parents can download, parents can use. So we're in that process right now, we're in the mode of production, just trying to produce, resources and, that parents can, use and go through with their children. So that's where we are right now. But that's a great idea to, like I said, to do a Meltrek virtual presentation. But I think right now we're just focusing on producing some tools that parents can utilize while they're home with their children during this pandemic.
Definitely very genius and very needed. You see how something goes from, a thought or a determined idea to so many facets that it expands from. I think that is phenomenal. I'm definitely, as soon as y'all get that together, my sons love Meltrek. You seen pictures with them.
And, yes. Yes.
That, you see what I'm saying? So if they get a chance to talk to Miss Lofton for an hour a day, please. I'm in that thing, So,
absolutely. And we appreciate your support, Brother Knowledge Born. I remember when we first came out, I think you were like one of the first people who brought us on your platform to talk about. You brought on all the cast members, right. And we all talked about the different roles that we played. And so that's why you say you have a better understanding of what's going on in my family dynamics than a lot of people, because you've been there since day one. And so you've seen the process, you've heard everyone's story. And so, but a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I want to thank you, Brother Knowledge Born. You were one of our, first supporters, and you've been a consistent and unwavering supporter. And so I definitely want to thank you for that, Brother Knowledge Born.
Well, it's wonderful to be able to stand as an African and support, those who are facilitating the resurgence of the African mind and self-confidence in our youth, with a lot of things that plague them. This is a viable solution right here. And on top of it, it's something that they can dance to. So it touches all of the aesthetics of the learning, experience. My son's got the coloring books. They can color. They can dance. They even tried to rap one set that they bunchy and they fight over who's bunchy and all of it. Like, no, I'm bunchy. You're chin. You see what I'm saying? So they get into the whole thing.
The characters.
Right? Right, it's a big deal with them, back and forth. So these opportunities, not just lip service. Like you really see it. They can't hold it back. So opportunities to support an African woman in your family, and at the same time benefit exponentially with the growth in my family. So it's there. So I think every African across the globe is in need of Meltrek and leverage the opportunities that come from anime productions. It's just it need to be a household name. like Forrest Gump.
That's what we're working towards. So hopefully it does get there. That's definitely the goal, for it to really to get into mainstream media. But I doubt it, though, to be honest with you. They're not ready. Mainstream media, I don't know. I don't know if they're ready, Brother Knowledge Born. What do you think?
You're being humble right now. I did see one of my favorite comedians of all time, with Meltrek in his hand. So it's in the mainstream. It's in the mainstream. So we do things kind of quiet. So if these things are happening and you get a chance to slide it in somewhere where you are, I think that should be good. The last thing I wanted to say about Black media is these are opportunities right now that are in front of you that you need to be taking a hold of. This political landscape, this economic landscape. If you're not talking to those people that's in a position, I don't want to hear it from you. That's not my lane. I have another lane. We work, in another department. But as far as those people who have these media platforms, what are you promoting on your platform? This is an election year. If y'all sick of 45, bring them on your platform. They want to hear. I'm talking like these ears of these people. You want to talk to them. This is the time to talk to them, and put some of these things in your head. Everybody was talking about Kamala Harris. Ain't nobody emailed Kamala Harris to get them on their calendar. This is an election year. You need to be talking to these people and bringing them to task. They're not just on the Breakfast Club and all these other places. They're there. So that means that these opportunities are viable options for them to, be called to task about some of these things that's going on. Again, the political system is for those who know how to work it. Sister Keisha is phenomenal with it. You see what I'm saying? So there's some warriors out here that do it. But as far as Black media is concerned, if you're not, seeking to fulfill the needs and control the narrative of our people, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That's right.
So final thoughts, Dr. Ma'at. I know we went a little over past the agreed time. I appreciate, you giving us a little extra time. So final remarks, social media where people can contact you, book you, and everything like that.
Okay, so you can find me at Dr. Oya Ma'at. I am on Facebook. That is my Facebook page, or you can find me under my given name, Dr. Deanna Bailey. So I'm available on Facebook. If you want to email me, please email me at, feel free to email me at dr.msu@gmail.com. So I'm going to say it again because I feel like I fumbled it. So it's dr.maat, MAAT.MSU@gmail.com. All right. So you can reach me on Facebook. You can email me, and you can also visit my website, edanimeproductions.com. That's EDANIME Productions with the S.com. You also join me, connect with me on YouTube. I'm on YouTube under my name, Dr. Oya Ma'at. Again, come to my YouTube page, subscribe, click the notification bell so that as soon as I go live, you are notified. We spoke about the 2 shows that I have available on my platform. That's Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Ma'at. I typically go live maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I didn't go live last week because I was traveling, but we do typically go live, 2 to 3 times per week with an elder or with, I know I had on a colleague of mine. I've had members from the Hoppy film come on to talk. So, go to my YouTube channel, check out some of those videos. We also have the resurgence of the African mind. And actually, I got that from you, Brother Knowledge Born, because you would always say the resurgence of the African mind, the resurgence of the African mind. And so, I said, wow, that would be a hot name for a book club. And so it was actually you who named the book club, Brother Knowledge Born, because, you're so eloquent with words. And so, so we had the resurgence of the African mind book club with Sister Alima Njai. on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right there on my channel. And I'm telling you, we've read some powerful books. We've read Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson, The Falsification of African Consciousness by Dr. Amos Wilson, The African Personality in America by Dr. Kobe Cambon. We've read Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, and we just finished reading Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery by Dr. Naeem Akbar. So if you didn't have an opportunity to check out those discussions, you can go to my page, Dr. Oya Ma'at on YouTube. I created playlists for each of those books. So you can go right to my page and, you know, click on the playlist of those different books, of those books that I just named. All right. So did I leave out anything, Brother Knowledge Born?
Nope. I think we're good, Doc. Appreciate
All right.
your time. Give my love to them warriors, you know.
We'll do.
Tell them I owe them some body shots when I see them. You know what I'm saying?
Will do. You take care, Brother Knowledge Born.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, Doc.
You do the same. Peace and love.
All right, peace. So if you don't have a reason, if it's not convinced in your mind yet, you know, if you was on the fence, you should no longer be on the fence. Let me just do it. You should no longer be on the fence. You should fall over to the side that has the 2-ticket minimum right here. Okay? You should be here. This is where your focus should be at. Right here. 100 years in the Whirlwind Global Conference. The 14th through the 16th. Friday to Sunday. Get your tickets. www.dtc1.org. Get your tickets right now. Like right now. Like, stop listening to me. Go to the website. Get your tickets. It's going down. Okay? Over 30 speakers. 4 radio shows. We got album release party. You know, we got the who's who and what's what to give you the proper insight, the proper guidance, the proper transformational experience that is necessary for the next 100 years. That's as far as I'm going to go. Like that, the next 100 years, we got 100 years in the whirlwind to set yourself up and put yourself in position for your ancestors' return through your future generations for the next 100 years. These are just some of the people that is going to be there, and they're going to equip you with actionable intel for you to move forward. You don't want to be the person that heard about it and slept on it. Get caught up like Bob Alias gives us that charge. Get caught up, okay? www.dtc1.org. Shout out to Dr. Oya Ma'at for coming through and spending some time with us. We got some updates coming on today, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have, part of the African Coalition coming on with some updates, okay? They're coming on. So y'all can stop hearing from me and y'all can hear from the crafters and the fashioners of this event. So www.dtc1.org. Check us out 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here for the updates, and then check us out for Warrior Wednesday, Black Survivor Die Class by National Minister of Defense of the Black Riders Liberation Party and the National Deputy Field Marshal of the New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense under the National Chairwoman, General Crystal Muhammad. Minister King Samir Shabazz will be in the building, 7 p.m. So 6 and 7. And then we got some other stuff going on today as well. So stay in tune, all right? Stay in tune. Get your tickets, www.dtc1.org. D as in David, Walker, T as in Thomas Sankara, and C as in Colin Ferguson, and 1 as in one God, one aim, one destiny. Get your tickets, www.dtc1.org. Get caught up, okay? Get caught up. So for now, We out.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that. So no more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.